I want to speak on the book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 12, where Paul says, "For there is no distinction between Jew and Greek, for the same Lord or Elohim over all is rich to all who call upon him." Now, why would Paul in his letter to the Romans say that there's no distinction between a Jew and a Greek? Because Paul was talking about the Greeks at that time period. They were actually Israelites. They were Greek-speaking Israelites or Hellenistic Jews. They didn't call themselves Israelites because they didn't know who they were. They had to practice different customs and they had another tongue. That's why Paul in 2 Corinthians said, 2 Corinthians 11 and 22, or we read 23 too. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool, I am more, in labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequently, in deaths often. Like today, we call ourselves American or African American or blacks. Our ancestors learned different customs and a new tongue when they came over here because they were the original, or they were Hebrews, or they were the Jews. And they practiced different customs. You know, they learned the way of the heathen or the other nations, like the different holidays, Christmas, Easter. All those days are pagan. You know, they're not of the scriptures. And if you go to the Compact Bible Dictionary right here, you know, add a little validation to what I'm saying. Well, the word is the validation, but, you know, it's always good to have other sources too, you know. Excuse me for a second. Let me see. Okay, if you go to Hellenist, Jews who made Greek their tongue and with it often adopted Greek ideas and practices. See that? So that's why Paul said over here, for there is no distinction between Jew and Greek, for the same Elohim over all is rich to all who call upon him. Paul knew that these Israelites, you know, over here that were speaking in, you know, the Greek tongue, they knew, well, he knew that they were Israelites, but they didn't call themselves that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know who they were because they was in different customs, you know, different language, you know, like today, like we celebrate Christmas, Easter, all these other holidays, but we don't even know our own history because it's never been taught to us correctly, you know? And to back that up some more, go to the word Greece. Here's what it says about the Grecians. Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews. See that? Greek-speaking Jews. So that's why Paul said there's no distinction between Jew and Greek, because he knew they were the same people. They just adopted the different customs of the captivity or the land that they was in, you know. And if you go to the Apocrypha, which is right here, which is in the 1611 King James Version Bible, which they took out right here, you know, why do you think the Romans took this out? Because if you commit a crime, the best way to cover up your evidence is to hide it. So that's what they did. And as you can see here, the book called the Apocrypha. These are all the books that they took out because it covers their tracks, you know. And I'll give like a scripture out of here, out of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, and we'll start at 9. And it says, besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise, or a gym in today's term, for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen. Sports, basketball, soccer, all these sports, that you see a lot of the predominantly black athletes participating in, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians, which when the king had granted and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion, and the royal privileges granted of the special favors to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Epolemus, if I pronounced that right, who went ambassador to Rome for amenity and aid, he took away, in putting down the governments which were according to the law. He brought up new customs. You see that? New customs against the law. So they couldn't even practice, the Torah or the law, because he brought new customs against the law. And that's why you eat swine and all this other stuff. It's abomination, in the side, in the odds of the Most High. But, even if you just read the statistics or, the nutritional facts on pork, it's disgusting. I used to eat it, when I was ignorant. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young man under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of the Greek fashions, and increase of the heathenish manners, through the exceedingly profaneness of Jason, wicked Israelite, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest. You see that? So that's where you get the gladiators from and so forth. So, this scripture right here is, if you go to church, I think someone will tell me the meaning, there's no difference between a Jew and a Greek. You can't go by today's terms, because in today's society, we all think we're all the same people. Well, it doesn't matter if you're black, you're white, we're all the same. No, unfortunately, that's not the case. Okay? And that's socialism for you, or globalization. But that's what they want. You forget your heritage, your nationality, and be one people, or a new world order. But that's all I wanted to talk about. But peace.